Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all my friends around the globe. This is the experiment, and I'm Joe Soro, your host for the evening, morning, and afternoon. And we're going to get into some Dodger baseball, Laker basketball, and some NBA news, especially with the NBA free agency period coming up here in a couple days. There's going to be a lot of activity, and the activity has already kind of started, anyways, with buyouts and trades and gambling fiascos. We're going to talk about all that tonight. So if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you have any requests, go ahead and do so. And I want to thank everyone for subscribing, liking, and notifying, because right now we're at 115 and counting. And yes, I'm doing a show once a week, but this is probably going to go up as the NBA free agency activity goes up to another level, as well as the NFL will be going into training camp here in a few weeks. So the NFL will take up a lot of my time because y'all know football's my thing, even though I talk about basketball and baseball, but football is actually my number one. And you guys are going to get a chance to see more of that as you are here on the experiment. So, to start off the evening, the afternoon, and morning, I wanted to talk a little bit about the LA Dodgers winning their sixth straight series. Defeated the Kansas City Royals earlier today after a 1 hour rain delay. Almost kind of messed up my afternoon a little bit. I had a little get together with some family, and but luckily the game ended right perfectly when we could kind of go swim and have a good time at my mother and father-in-law's place. But the Dodgers, of course, got scored on first. I think this is the month is coming to an end tomorrow. So I think out of the 24 games, I think they've been scored first on, I think it's 18 times. But they only got one score, at least the Royals did, in the first inning, and then they never scored again. And the Dodgers ended up playing a little bit of small ball with some home runs as well. But good game nonetheless. I thought it was entertaining to see some of the guys from the bullpen do what they did. And, of course, seeing Will Smith and Kike hit one. Kike hitting that 2-run homer was really, really nice. It hadn't been a while to see Kike get comfortable enough to where we could see some of this playoff clutchness in the regular season. So props to Kike. We love Kike here. We know why he's here still. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him as time goes on here. Hopefully has some more opportunities in the second half of the season. Thoughts on LeBron? So, Carter, you've been on my ass for the last 2 hours on Lakers Fast Break to shit on LeBron James. Is that correct? So you want me to get on LeBron James before I start talking Dodgers all the way through? I'm going to throw this in there for you, okay? I don't have anything negative to say about LeBron at the moment because he hasn't given me anything negative to talk about. What he did today was already predicted. He was going to pick up his option. As far as taking a pay cut, I don't think that was very realistic either. He doesn't want to take a pay cut. If you guys know who LeBron James is a very frugal man. Frugal people do not take pay cuts. That little pay cut that he took last year, that wasn't really a pay cut. That was a bullshit, whatever. Just basically transferred his little money that he saved or little money that he gave up to make sure his son had a career. That's all. That's it. That wasn't for nothing. It was for his son. So my assessment on LeBron James before I get to the Dodger news, and then I'll get to the Laker news as well, is that LeBron James should be playing his last season. The only exception for LeBron James beyond 2026 is if the Lakers win the championship. And LeBron is an integral part of that run, which there's no other way to put it. Even if they get a DeAndre Ayton, even if they get a Alexander Walker, LeBron's still going to be an integral part of winning this thing. Otherwise, it's not going to happen, right? So let's just say he does. Let's just say LeBron 2020 shows up in the playoffs. I'm not going to say during the regular season because that's not being realistic. But let's just say he balls out in the playoffs, and the Lakers end up winning the championship with LeBron maybe winning Finals MVP. Let's say he wins either the Finals MVP or the Western Conference Finals MVP. Do you then bring him back? I'm going to say there's a discussion now if he wants to take another year contract. He at that point, he will have earned it. So that's how I'm looking at that. Whether that plays out in that way, it's a lesser chance of that than not. You've been calling out LeBron for a while, and you've been right. Well, I've been calling him out mainly on the things that he says. It's not usually always tied directly to his play. It's just more of LeBron being LeBron. And when you can't help what's going on, when contracts are set, options are set, trade when you can't trade a guy because he's got a veto on that trade, there's no sense in going through all the motions and say, oh, well, the Lakers need to trade LeBron. No. Lakers don't need to trade LeBron, and I don't think the Lakers are going to trade LeBron for anybody. If LeBron all of a sudden decides in February that he wants to go somewhere, I guess they'll probably figure that out. But what are they going to get in return? And who would want LeBron's services to win a championship? To do what? To get his? Are they going to kind of under the table say that they're going to sign him to another 2-year contract, giving him $60 million a year? I don't see that happening. I just don't. No matter what the team is. So I'll leave it. I'll leave that one for it to develop as it needs to. But as far as going all in on LeBron at this point, I'm sure there's going to be instances during the summer where we're going to be able to throw some things at that, and then of course during the year as well. But hopefully it's the last year. That's what I'm hoping for, because I'm more focused on the fact that new leadership is coming. You have Luka Doncic, who's in his prime. And he's in shape. Let's focus on the good here instead of dealing with the past. Joe, I haven't seen much of it, but what are your impressions of Ohtani's pitching thus far, and what should they do with him in regards to pitching moving forward? The last outing he had yesterday was pretty phenomenal. If you pay attention to baseball like I do. This is his second Tommy John surgery. I know this probably gets said a lot, but I heard he had an experimental Tommy John surgery the second time, this last one. I don't know really what that means, other than is this experimental one going to be the solver of the Tommy John epidemic in baseball right now? Because baseball doesn't seem like they want to do anything. They're helping the batters in every way, putting a pitch clock in, making sure the pitchers don't have something on the ball. They let batters have pine tar on their bats. They they do all that for the hitter, but they haven't done shit for the pitcher. So will this experimental Tommy John surgery that apparently Ohtani got, will this be the standard? Because if Ohtani is going to be pitching 102 miles an hour, I mean, what does that mean in the end? That's pretty phenomenal. It was 10. Was it? I mean, I don't know how long can he do that before his arm finally gives in, right? I don't know. I don't know if this experimental surgery put this elbow in a situation where he can pitch like this for another 2 or 3 years. Now, I've said on the show that I want him to pitch at least 2 to 3 years. I want him to pitch at least 2 or 3 years and really cement his all-time greatest legacy. How it plays out this season, they're going to go, they went 1 inning twice. They went 2 innings this last time. And this last time, his stuff in those last few outs was filthy. The batters didn't know what the hell was going on. I want to see that when they play the Mets, when it's guys like Soto, like the polar bear that they're playing. I want to see what happens with when they play Philly with Harper and those guys. If he does this stuff against the Phillies, the Mets, the Padres, the true playoff contenders in the NL, it's going to be very, very scary. Now, my patience is on when does he pitch 5 innings? Because that's the standard. 5 innings so that you can have a chance to win the game. When is he going to pitch 5 innings? My guess is he's probably going to pitch 5 innings after the All-Star break. So he'll go 2 innings, I think, again on his next start. And then after that, probably maybe stretch it to 3 as long as he doesn't get shelled early. And then they'll do 3. Maybe they'll do 3 for a while. Then after the All-Star break, I think you'll start seeing him go to 4 and 5, depending on the opponent. Because I would think that if he's facing a lot of right-handed batters, I think they're going to want to keep him fresh so they can still take advantage of his bat. And that's kind of how I look at it. What amazes you the most about Shohei? I think him pitching was pretty amazing. I've gotten used to the fact that he's a phenomenal hitter. I've only seen him for a year and a half. He does strike out a lot. He struck out 162 times last year, and I'm not really a big fan of strikeouts, but it's something. I guess it's part of the collateral damage of his other stuff that's so good. But the fact that he pitched the way he did this last one, that one really brought a whole new batch. Now, last year I was in awe of how fresh he looked in August and September. I'd say that was probably the biggest one. I couldn't believe how fresh he was in August and September after the season he had. This is a lot of pressure to come in his first year. He had never gotten into the playoffs with Anaheim in the 6 seasons he was there. There's always pressure with Ohtani. He's got a lot of living up to do. He was moved from to the original in the batting order. I think he was at 3 or 2, and then he let off. And I was like, okay, well, I guess he's going to be leading off the rest of the way, and he did. And there's no doubt that that first game against San Diego, if he doesn't hit that 3-run homer, I think the Dodgers lose that series. So he won the MVP, went 50 for 50, and I felt like he probably could have done better last year. That's what amazes me about him. Well, look who decided to show. I wasn't expecting you to be here.
Why?
No. But it's good because you give me a break there so I can drink.
I got a lot of free time on my hands next couple weeks, so I think you kudos to you. You sent out the address. So
no, it's part of the gig, right? I mean, we're looking at.
Look, no matter what, needs to be said, so might as well just be said. Joe has free reign and free permission to say whatever he wants to me at any point in time, and I can't get mad at him.
And we went through a few things the last few years, and sometimes
we're like bamboo. We're strong. Well, we're strong.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've had friends that I started relationships with. And there was a moment where it was broken a little bit, not shattered, just broken. And then after a while, you start to kind of understand where the person's coming from. And then you're like, oh, okay, I got it. Okay, now I know what to do next. So it's similar to Sean. Sean will get Sean's chemical imbalance. I'm just going to call it a chemical imbalance because I have a chemical imbalance too, but mine isn't coming from anything. It's just I'm fucked up like that.
But you're not.
It's related.
You're not. So I've tried to explain you to people, but you need the visual. You require the visual, Joe. After people see the visual, they're like, yeah, I get it. Some people are just wired differently. That's just the way it has to be.
It's always been like that too. I remember when I was when I was in high school, there were people who didn't know me. They didn't know me very well, and then when they sat and talked to me, they're like, I didn't expect you to be like this. This is in high school before I knew anything." I said, "Yeah, yeah." I didn't know how to articulate it at the time, but what it is there's a delivery, there's a expression that's there that's not maybe friendly sometimes, and it comes from maybe my upbringing, maybe it comes from something somewhere, and then as I got older, it I enhanced it because I started understanding life a little bit more, and it became an advantage more than a disadvantage. And it really comes down to one thing. There's a security in it, and most
No,
people
there
are
is.
not secure. It's just not there. There's an inadequacy issue, and that's something that's never been there. I've doubted myself in certain things, and
Well,
I've
you're a
got
human
yeah,
being.
I'm still a human being. Like in certain aspects of things, I'm like, man, am I doing this right? Or man, I'm stupid. Am I stupid? Like
Well,
that's
you like
that's
so you took the name Ox. So did you ever read any of the Stoics in university, or did it not just not like interest you?
no, I never really got into mythology of
Well,
those.
rather like it's I get it, but this is more like the philosophers, right? Like Seneca, Plato. Like you're like that, Joe. You're like one of those like Stoics. Like you're just like naturally like thinking.
I am a thinker, and I might not look it when you see me, but I am. Uh, and I used to use this example even back then, and I knew this back then. I didn't like I didn't like the term jock.
Mm-mm.
I'm not a jock, and I'm going to prove it to you.
It's the same. It's the same as calling somebody a nerd.
Now, again, I didn't get angry about it. I'm just saying I never considered myself a jock, even though I was an athlete. I
Okay.
am not a jock. I had my own crew in high school, and I was popular. I wasn't. I didn't hang out with the popular. You know how the
Mhm.
popular crew in high school were the
They could
movies.
be different. It's
They were the
splintered.
movie stars, right? They were the
Yeah.
movie stars, and
Drama club. Yeah.
so. But as I got older in high school, went to the senior, then I started hanging out with the popular girls, but
Hmm.
not outside school as much. But I got to know and hang out every now and then. We did hang out after school here and there, but I never immersed
Sometimes
myself.
clicks just naturally just kind of vibe into one another.
It's
It's like a pinball in high school.
people will gravitate towards you when you're interesting, and even if you're not, you trying not to be interesting. There's a mystery sometimes, and this is something I've battled a lot in the entertainment world. I was SAG eligible 14 years ago. 14 years ago. I was doing my thing in the entertainment world. Like, I was going all the way with it. But I got to a point where it was requiring me to possibly give up certain things in my life that I didn't want to give up. My my stability, my foundation, because that's what that business is about. You have to immerse yourself in it so much. It's like professional wrestling. I was a huge wrestling guy, right? And I always felt like I could have done that. But the problem is, just like in radio, I had a job and to do a job. I had a radio job from my mentor John Chalesnik. He had a job out in Iowa for me, late 2000s. I could have done that. Could have moved to Iowa and made $16,000 a year and started that world.
So you think you could have handled the bumps, Joe?
I can handle the bumps, but what would it mean in the end for the people around me? I would have had to have gone solo and everything. Coaching was another thing. So my wife had asked me years ago. She said, "Why didn't you get into coaching? You would
I
have been
would
a
have
coach."
thought
I
the
said,
same thing.
I would have loved to coach football. I had an itch for it
Joe,
back
I
in.
could picture you right now, like with like a BYU sweater on, or like a Baylor sweater on.
I would have
No, I'm
loved.
serious. I'm
I would have
serious.
loved to have done it. Believe me, but my my instincts always guided me correctly in the end. Like it
Yeah,
always
I know.
guided.
You said it was too political for you.
There's a political thing. At the end. The
It's
end
sick.
game
It's
is.
sickening. It's
It
sickening.
is. It is. And I know myself. I know myself. I don't do politics. I speak politics in terms of like the country and
Yeah, generalities. I get
foreign
it, but
affairs.
yeah.
But when I go to work, I don't care about your politics. I don't care about your mistress, your wife, I don't care about what's going on there.
Oh
I'm there
no!
to do
Like as
business.
soon as you said that, so I, I got the same. I got the same vision Saban had when the Texas Boosters. Hey, Nicky. Hey, yeah. I got that same visual with you, with people who would like try to persuade you that way, and it's not gonna work. Like
Perfect
I've
example you brought up. Look, let's talk Nick Saban real quick, right? Nick Saban coached with Belichick in Cleveland. He ended up coaching at Michigan State. He ended up coaching LSU and was successful. Then he took a chance and went to Miami. He didn't become. He was Nick Saban, but he didn't become Nick Saban until he was in his 50s. And that was something. And the reason why that is, and I know it worked out for him in the end, but he is one in a billion that it worked out in the end, right? He did it, it worked out. And I just never felt like I would have been. I think I was a generation too late to be a Nick Saban. If Nick Saban was my age, I don't think Nick Saban would have existed. It just wouldn't. And that to me is, I have loved so many coaches. I loved Bill Cowher. I loved Bill Parcells. I loved um before he went south, Joe Paterno. Like all these legends, right? I love them all, but no one hit like Nick Saban for me. Nick Saban was the guy.
I agree. I agree. We've talked about this
Yeah.
before, and it has nothing. It has like less than zero to do with Alabama, the University of Alabama for us. So
Yeah.
we don't get a lot of the same heat that a lot of people do, or like Saban.
Yeah, it wasn't an Alabama thing. It wasn't an Alabama thing. Now
It's not a cult thing.
it helped, not at all. But the thing is, it played into, in the end, it played into why Nick Saban was able to do what he did. Because you talked about how Texas was luring him in, USC was luring him in, and his response to both were, kids ain't gonna listen over there like they do in Alabama. And I have a bunch of pieces of shit that live here on the West Coast that shit on Alabama, Mississippi, and all those things, right? Oh, they're all inbreds. Oh, they're all this. Oh, they're all that. All that shit, right? I'm like, motherfucker,
The coastal
go look at
elitism.
those kids when they're in Alabama. Why? They can't get recruited to Texas? They can't get recruited to USC? Why? Why not, right? It's the region. It's that area. It teaches you shit, right? How come they listen over there? Because they have manners there. They respect authority there. It's not something that I'm making up. Nick Saban proved it. How about supporting that? It's those things. When we talk about respect, when we talk about loyalty, when we talk about doing things right, that's not always about money. Yes, they did go to Alabama knowing that, hey, man, we have a really good chance at being drafted if we go to Alabama. That's fine. Putting yourself in a position to go into a better place, yeah. But they still have to do the work. They still have to listen. They still can't be jerk-offs over there. When you put that all together, that's the dream. You want that, but that is very, very hard to get. You have to have the right timing, and you got to be the right guy at the right time. I mean, it's all got to work out. And
Yeah, Joe. I mean, like, you were talking about Otani and Trout, how they never made the playoffs together. Like, looking back at this NBA draft, can you believe that Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey were on the same team and somehow Rutgers didn't even make it to the Sweet 16?
And that's a bad sign.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Sign.
That's concerning to me if I'm drafting
and it should
you.
Be. It should be, because Ben Simmons played at LSU for a year and they didn't even make it to the tourney.
Yeah.
And Markelle Fultz, he hit the shitter in Washington. Those are all bad signs that no one paid attention to.
That's a great. Those are two great points you bring up. Yeah,
you cannot. This is basketball.
It's a pattern. It's a pattern, right?
Basketball. If you
like Larry Bird took a bunch of nobodies to a championship game, and Caitlin Clark took a bunch of nobodies to a consecutive Final Four. Go on, Joe. Go on.
It's not. Look, I know not everybody pays attention to things like we do, or maybe retains the information. But then again, that's why this is a good thing. And when we talk about the politics of things, when we talk about the support, so Gerald Glassford has been accommodating enough for us to support our personalities, our delivery, our way of doing business. We are not. We don't have an authority telling us what we should be doing, which is why this has been successful, at least in my eyes. I might not be making a living on it, but there's a possibility that it could happen if you put a little bit more resource in it. And I'm trying everything I can to do that, and I believe in the end it will work. And then at that point, I don't have to worry about the political stuff. I don't deal with politics, and I don't care about filling blanks. I do not care. I care about greatness. I care about the highest quality possible. The opportunity is going to be there for everyone. If you are around me, and this is what I've said how many times, you've heard me say this 100 times, all you have to do is travel with me for 2 weeks, and you'll see who I am. There is nothing in my life that says anything that doesn't make sense. So don't tell me I got to fill some blanks out. Don't tell me this has to be this way. No, it doesn't have to be. Are you going to be able to do the job? The answer is yes or no. There is no middle ground. And I don't give a shit what you look like or where you come from. I don't care. As long as you're not a piece of shit. My definition of a piece of shit is you're out smacking your girl around. You're doing drugs all over the place and making people's life miserable. Shit like that. Extreme shit. Okay? I'm not a choir boy. You want to go and, be a crazy person, but you handle your business. Hey, it is what it is. You can't expect everybody to be like you. But again, the end game here is I do not want my time wasted. I definitely don't want my time wasted by people I know for a fact can't live up to a level that they think they're at. Like, if you are legit, I will respect you and I will follow you. I will respect you and support you. I have a lot of those people in my life. And that's it. That's how that goes. But I'm going to answer Carter's questions. He's been asking some good questions here. Do you think Shohei can get even better? So I would like to see Shohei next year. It looks like this year might not happen. I want to see Shohei for at least 1 year go after the Cy Young. Even if it means he's got to only hit 40 home runs. Because right now, he's on pace to hit 60. Can he get better? The answer is yes, this year, from the hitting standpoint. I think he can there's a possibility he may get 60 this year. The question I have, too, that I've been asking myself is, The all-time record is 62 minus the steroid era. Aaron Judge did that in 2000. Was it 22? So Aaron Judge has 62 home runs, and he has not tested positive for anything. He's clean, right? Mark McGwire has 70. Barry Bonds has 73, but we know their situation, right? Sammy Sosa had 66. So non-steroid era. Right now, Aaron Judge has the all-time home run record. That's just me saying that, by the way. It doesn't really matter what I say.
And I don't think it's going to matter anyway, Joe, because I don't see the Yankees beating Tarek Scoba 2 or 3 times in a series. I just think Detroit's just built to beat the Yankees.
Yeah, you're not. Detroit was the team I picked to go to the World Series. However, Sean, seeing how Houston's playing, I'm crossing my fingers that the Dodgers meet Houston in the World Series this year.
I get it for sentimentality.
That
purposes,
is, to me,
sure.
there would be no better ending of a back-to-back championship than to take. First of all, you take the Yankees out in Yankee Stadium in year one, and then you sweep the shit out of Houston in year two. That, to me, creates a full circle. The last time
Joe, I've told you this before, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, but as a sports fan, as unbiased as you could be, that World Series does not belong to them.
True.
There should be an asterisk.
It is. The
problem that World Series.
You're right. You're right. But the problem is it's over. They snitched on each other to get immunity and allow them to keep the title. And then a year later, Boston cheated as well. Not maybe as extensively, but they did cheat. And they won the World Series. Now, I'm giving Boston a little bit of a reprieve because they gave the Dodgers Mookie Betts for free. And because they gave Mookie Betts to the Dodgers for basically for nothing, the Dodgers were able to win 2 more World Series. So I'm not taking Boston off the hook, but I'm just saying at least there's a little bit of kickback in that deal by getting Mookie, right? Houston, on the other hand, I want them in the World Series. The Dodgers have to beat them in the World Series so that peace of mind can finally set in. That would be the ultimate. To me, I would almost be satisfied for a few years, even if the Dodgers didn't win for a couple of years. I would be disappointed in the moment. Sure, I'd be upset, but I'd be like, all right, back-to-back championships, beating the Yankees and the Houston Astros. Hell, you know what? There's worse things that have happened to the team. But that's what I'm hoping for right now. That's what I'm cheering for. I want the Dodgers facing Houston in the World Series, and I want them to destroy them. So let's see here. Where are we here? Let me get to your guys' questions here. Sorry, guys.
I'm distracting Joe. My bad, guys.
No, you're not. This is baseball time, so we're talking baseball. Is it whatever I want to? Yeah, baby, Gotani. Yeah, Gotani is going to be something you should trademark.
So, Joe, do you think right now that Skubal and Luzardo are the Cy Young favorites?
Skubal for sure. And then Max Fried right now in the.
You would say Fried and Skubal.
I mean, Skubal and Fried right now are
neck and neck.
They're there. But I think Skubal will be. It's another.
I think you got to give it to the lefty, don't you, man? If it's between a lefty and a righty and it's neck and neck, I think you got to give it to the south. I mean, I'm a lefty too. I don't completely biased here, but
this thing changes so quick.
His stuff is nasty though, and it gets better as the game goes on. Apparently,
I'm not. I don't think it. In my view, I don't think it matters anymore.
Isn't couldn't this be like Fried's last like really good one? Because he's in his years 31, right? 32.
Freed doesn't rely on power as much.
No, but let me tell you something, brother. On the East Coast, when it gets cold, not everybody's Mariano Rivera with the finesse.
Luckily, it's going to get hotter, so I think he'll be okay.
In September and October, we'll see.
Now, when he gets to, I mean, the Yankees right now, I'm not too high on the Yankees. I think
Yeah.
they'll probably make it through, but I don't know yet. They're too hot. They're too cold here. They're too hot there. I don't know. They're just not. There isn't the mystique there. It hasn't been there for a while. So I'd have to. You got to wait, man. Another half. Talking about another 80 plus games for a lot of these guys, man. You got to wait till at least probably end of August to really see what might be developing there. I think Joe has just been through so much life experience. He is stoic without even trying. Yeah, I've heard that term stoic before. I have a networking group that have used that word, that I'm stoic. The stoic
People have said that about me.
Yeah, being stoic is a
No, Joe. Like
I'll tell you what it is.
Go ahead.
I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah.
So when I'm in a setting, I don't talk about myself. I talk about myself more on the show than anywhere else in my life. And I do that because it's part of the entertainment. But outside the show, no one really knows shit about me. I mean, I'll say, hey, my wife and my kids, but I don't really talk about anything. So when I'm in a coffee shop and we're networking, we're talking, I'm usually just staring at you and listening. And I've gotten some comments about that. They're like, man, I don't when you sit with Joe, it's like
that icy stare.
Yeah, he's like just staring at you. I'm like, what do you want me to do? You want me to be looking at the sky while you're talking? I go, that's rude. I'm paying attention to what you're saying.
You know what? Like, because I know you now, it's different. But my personality, if we had never met and we were at like one of those coffee houses, like networking, and you were looking at me with that icy stare, I would crack like a dick joke or something, just to get everybody loose.
And that's again, I'm
so like I post that for a reason. Like I post that at work too, Joe. Like I've had my administrator say, Sean, yeah, I know that's funny, but you can't be posting that for like I'm like, okay, all right. Like I get that a lot. But anyway, it's for a reason. It's like that's what I think I'm around for. But anyway, go on.
Well, the conversations are Robin Williams, God rest his soul, and man, this world would be better with him still here. He had the knack of coloring outside the lines in a serious moment. And that's an important thing. You know, you'd see him in a movie where he's doing his thing, and then the joke again was colored outside the line, and I'm like, damn, that's hilarious. When what was it, the Death to Smoochie? Remember that movie?
Yeah, with Ed Norton.
So Ed Norton has the cookie, right? That looks like a dick and balls. And he comes out of nowhere and he's like in front of the kids. He's like, it's a cock. So you're in this so I'll use the word stoic. You're in this stoic conversation and you're talking about mature things. But if the moment calls for it, sometimes you got to come out with, well, was he a jerk off? Which is a term that doesn't really get talked about in a professional setting. So I'm with it. I totally get that. Sometimes you got to go to that area because it best describes the situation. Is he a jerk off? Because it's not enough to just say, well, is he a challenging person? That doesn't hit home. Is he challenging? Is he high maintenance? I don't like those words. That's George. George Carlin had sets of that. This euphemism shit. I don't want to hear about euphemisms when you really need to make a point. This motherfucker is a jerk off. Now you don't have to say motherfucker. Just he's a jerk off, and then I know right away. Instead of, well, he's kind of high maintenance and he's always doing this, and that. And I'm like, I'm not sure I understand really what you're talking about, because high maintenance sometimes can be interpreted as somebody who likes things done right. What is he?
So Joe,
is he a douche? Is he a jerk off? Like, there's levels to this.
So it's funny you mentioned that about Robin Williams and how he could make you laugh at the most. So probably the best example of that is after Christopher Reeve is paralyzed, when he wakes up in the hospital room and the wheelchair is in the room as well, and Robin Williams turns to Christopher Reeve after he wakes up, and one of the first things he says to him is, "If you sneeze, will that thing lose power?" And he starts laughing, pissing himself laughing, and he says, I think he said something along the lines of, "You need to shut the fuck up because I'm wearing a catheter," or something, because it was so funny. But yeah, that's a great example you used. There are some people who can do that. They have a gift.
He was in so much mental pain. He reversed the pain and turned people's lives. Because I remember when he died, there were, the usual dipshit trolls. Why do you guys care about somebody? Da, 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 da. I'm like,
yeah.
Robin Williams was the exception. Robin Williams was in our house for most of our lives, and he made us laugh. And we all knew who Robin Williams was. That's we didn't need to meet him face to face to know who he was. He was an integral part about all. John Candy, if I ever met, and I'm sure his daughter's heard this, I'm sure his son has heard this, but if I ever meet his daughter or his son, I'm gonna tell him something that they probably heard before. I'm like, we still miss your dad, and we didn't even know him. That's the impact. Think about that for a second. The guy's been gone 31 years, and we still miss him. And then you hear stories about what he used to do. People who had parents who were sick, arranging flights, paying for their funerals. I mean, I don't know what it is about Canada, man, but you start hearing about all those guys up in Canada and the things that they do. I don't even know what the hell I would do without Mel Brooks and half of Canada that came. Half the comedians that I know that I love are all from Canada. Like, what would we do without Canada?
Joe, do you remember?
Would we have ever laughed?
Do you remember the first time you ever watched SCTV?
I never watched SCTV.
Wow. Okay, so you know all these legends, but so you're that rare bird that's never seen SCTV with all these
my
guys.
Introduction to
that's where a lot of the origin is from.
They are. I've seen clips and all that, but I never watched it because I was too young. But when you look back at my childhood, Eugene Levy, John Candy, Martin Short, Rick Moranis, these guys are, staples in my childhood. They're like the wrestlers in my childhood.
There are others too. Joe Flaherty.
Oh my God.
Playing the vampire on SCTV.
I never could understand how Joe Flaherty wasn't bigger than he was. That son of a gun made me laugh just looking at him.
Funny. He's so funny.
I got something for you. Western Union. Just the simplest thing. his role in Happy Gilmore. Yeah, man, the Canadians, the
God rest.
Canadian invasion of comedy it's unprecedented. I've never seen. I don't know what the hell you guys do up there, but you had some of the fun, and even Seth Rogen, being the idiot that he is, he's done amazing movies, and all those schleppers that came from there that they all work together, right? But there was something about that crew that Eugene Levy, like people didn't know who the hell I knew who Eugene Levy was in the movies. Like people didn't really pay attention to him in this small role in Vacation. Dude, I've quoted his shit for 35 years, probably once a week. That look, he's smiling when he sees Clark W. Griswold coming. He's like, and then it goes to terror right away. Calls Rusty Rubin, like all that shit. Like, I'm just as upset about this as you are. Like, complete bullshit. You know, like he hit on every line. Davenport. You know how many times I've yelled Davenport when I'm looking for something? Or when he asks him, where's Mr. Griswold's car? I don't know, sir. And then he's like, oh, I know what must have happened. It didn't come in.
Well, it's kind of funny you were mentioning you want to talk about what's going on with Malik Beasley in the news, and as I was getting something to drink, a Canadian comedian popped into my head because I remember Norm Macdonald once said, "Yeah, gambling. You know this gambling, man. It's the only disease where you can end up with money in your hands at the end of the day. The only disease where you can end up with money in your hands at the end of the day."
And I didn't know he was a degenerate gambler. He lived an interesting life, Norm Macdonald. He was one of those guys.
Did you ever see that interview he did with Conan where they talk about his family? Okay, you'll have to watch it. So my dad was 50 when he had me. That's what Norm says. Oh, you're one of those. Just watch it, Joe.
I will watch it.
It gets better after that. But anyway,
I will watch it. I want to see Joe talk about politics since just. What do you want me to say, Jay? I think you guys got a good hint on my California political leaning somewhat when we needed him the most. He returned.
Well, see, gambling incorporates all other vices. It can house all the other vices. Not every other vice can hold, or it'll be a house of cards.
Wow, Search is back. Hey, Search, how you doing, bud? Thanks for being here. It's been a while. Drip Show, how you doing, bud? Let's see here. Where else are we?
Drugs and gambling, a bad mix. That's JT or TJ Hooker from The Sopranos.
Gambling is bad.
Hey, TJ Hooker.
JT.
I just gotta know. I think he knew it was JT. He just did that to fuck with him personally.
You think he did?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Tony had that issue. Why don't you illuminate me? Like he made mistakes like that sometimes.
How'd you hit your head?
Yeah, he knew right away what was going on there. That's the thing. See, that's the thing about Tony Soprano. No matter how dumb he was,
Tone had street smarts.
He had street smarts up the yin yang, man. He knew exactly what was going on.
That's why whenever I talk about this show, Joe, and I don't have a polarizing view of Tony, it always elicits an emotional response out of the other person. I didn't hate him, and I wasn't rooting for him either. I just admired the observation of a great character.
Yeah, the thing is, it changes as we got older,
and he changed.
Yeah, your perception of things changes. So Carmela, initially, your first instinct was, man, she's dealing with this guy doing all this stuff to her, and you kind of on her side. But as you watch it for the
Oh,
15th time,
the third. What got me was the second rewatch and the psychiatrist.
yeah, you started the psychiatrist
Okay, okay.
that she was trying to gaslight.
You're complicit.
He didn't mess around. And if you go on,
My apologies. You're more of an accomplice.
more of accomplice. My apologies.
Yes. I
One
just
thing you
make
can
sure
never
he has
say
clean. I just make sure he has clean shirts.
is that you can't say that you've never been told. Yeah, that guy dropped the hammer on her. It was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope the new owner will be taking action this summer. They don't go through, Jay. They're not gonna.
Well, look. What happened, Joe? Is that for the Lakers? Because
Yeah,
the new ownership isn't until they meet,
yeah, they're not.
reconvene, and that's in October.
Yeah, they're not gonna probably get this thing really finalized until October. Let's see here. Denver sports. Joe, rank the best NFL coaches 1 through 8. Wow. Ooh. Huh. Okay. Are we okay? I know there's some guys that I didn't get a chance to see, but there's no way you can keep them off the list. I'll start with. Okay, we got Don Shula. I'm not putting this in any particular order. You got Don Shula, Chuck Noll, Vince Lombardi, Bill Belichick, Joe Gibbs, Bill Parcells, Tom Landry. Who else is the other one? I think I got everyone. I guess you could put. You have to kind of be. I think you.
Joe didn't what?
I think you got to put Andy Reid in there now,
yeah,
right?
that was the one name I was trying to like.
Well,
Why hasn't Joe said that?
I was going
yet?
back and my brain was going back and forth with Marv Levy too. Marv Levy was a pretty damn
Okay,
good
that
coach.
was another. That was the other name I was thinking. I was like, would Joe pick a guy who lost all 4 Super Bowls he played in? He might, because he's just. It's not his fault they lost all 4.
I think that's a good 8. I think that's a good 8.
The and people don't care because we Joe, we're human beings. So are you there are 3 kinds of memory, right? Standing, short term, long term.
Okay.
All of our short term memories are pretty much dog shit. So few and far between, but all 4 of those Super Bowls, every team he played for was better than the last. Would you agree? So, would you agree, Joe?
Wait, what's the question again?
So every Super Bowl team that Marv Levy played got exceedingly better. That he wasn't going to beat those Cowboy teams. He might have had a chance against the Giants, but that Redskins team was better than the Giants. And then those Cowboys teams are better than the Redskins.
Yeah, there was no doubt. There was a little bit of
It's Norwood, right? That was the one.
Yeah, that was the one.
That's the one. Because I don't think they would have won any other one.
No, they wouldn't have. That Redskins team in 91 was good from beginning to end.
They were.
The Cowboys in 92.
I don't think anybody was going to beat the 92 Cowboys.
The Niners were the only team that had a shot, but as soon as the Cowboys beat the Niners, that was it. and then no one was beating the Dallas in '93. No, and they would have gotten destroyed if they made it to a fifth Super Bowl, because that might have arguably been the best Niners team at at that at that part of like the second half of that season. They were a freaking machine. They're not number one. I think the best Niner team ever was '84, but
And that's a really good list, Joe. And I think you're justified
I
leaving
left Bill Walsh out though.
if you leave Bill Walsh and John Madden off, but Andy Reid's in there. I think that's a good list.
Madden didn't coach long enough.
But he's got the highest winning percentage.
True. Paul Brown was left off as well. I think
I, I
yeah.
I don't think you can include anything in the modern era like that's like 60 on. I think 80 on is good for modern era. Like, because Paul Brown was from a different. Like, did they even have a salary cap back then?
No.
No.
No, and
And
he
who like so outside of Otto Graham and Jim Brown, who's the best player from the Browns in that era, Joe? Because I can't like
if it's not Jim Brown or Otto Graham, it's Bobby Mitchell.
Bobby Mitchell, right? Yeah. So I mean, damn.
Marion Motley.
Okay, so
Just from my memory of that time,
and where would you rank them as dynasty?
they won they won 4 championships in 10 seasons. They weren't bad. They were probably the team of the 50s.
Joe, do you can you name the only player to go number 1 in the NFL and AFL? I'll give you a hint. Okay? The same area code drafted him twice. Oh man, I thought you'd get it for sure.
Is it somebody I should know?
Yes. Oh man,
it wasn't Namath, was it?
No. Oh fuck! I thought Joe would get this, ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on. Same area code.
Yes. Come on, Joe. Come on. The same fucking area. Oh, my bad. No. So not the same area code.
Okay,
Same.
go ahead. Tell me what it is.
Roman Gabriel.
Oh.
Raiders and Rams. My bad.
The Raiders later were in the same area code. Really? Roman Gabriel? I'll remember that from now on, though. That one I won't forget. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was number 162 in the AFL. And so after, do you know what happened? So okay, so Joe's a historian here. Do you know the quarterback that led the Raiders after Gabriel snubbed them?
Daryl LaMonica?
Beautiful, Joe. Beautiful, yeah. That's the first big trade Al Davis ever made.
Yeah. Al was the commissioner of the AFL. I always wonder if Al wanted to run the league more than own a team, but the league didn't want him to.
Because that era was kind of the first that opened up the quarterback position outside of a white guy. Like Joe Cap was a Chicano.
Yeah.
He played quarterback. Roman Gabriel was, what was he? Vietnamese or Filipino? I forget which one. Yeah.
No, it was an interesting time because I think with television turning into what it turned into and NFL films becoming the Sables, man, they initially they didn't the coaches, like guys like Lombardi and Hank Stram, they didn't want the camera on them. And then Ed Sable said, Vince, I'm going to make you look like John Wayne. And then Vince Lombardi perked up. Oh, really? Really? And Hank Stram, I think, got famous because of Super Bowl IV. Matriculating down the field, boys. Right? Like that put him in a leg. Like all the college football shit that he did, no one knew what they couldn't care less. All they care about is Super Bowl IV. Matriculating down a field, boys. That was his legend, and that's all Ed Sable. That Ed Sable was a movie director that turned football into what it turned into. And I don't know how he should be credited for creating the mystique of everything. They hired John Facenda. They created the autumn wind. That's a pretty amazing thing. They made Vince Lombardi look like John Wayne. They really did. When they do the documentaries with Vince Lombardi, I swear it's the first thing I think of. And Vince Lombardi, when you really read up on Vince Lombardi, there was so much inner doubt, and he compensated with that inner doubt with ferocious focus, ferocious work ethic. He went to church every day. Every day. And it came at the expense of his wife and his children a little bit, because his son didn't have a good relationship with him. At least not, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't tight. The girl was the girl.
Strained but fine kind of thing.
Yeah. And his dad, his son says, he explains it in the documentaries. And his wife was an alcoholic because she spent most of her time alone.
Was she Italian too?
I don't think she was Italian, no. I think she was just a regular American. And there's a really good line. Liev Schreiber was the narrator of his documentary. He goes, God, football. I said, God, family, and the Green Bay Packers. No one knew what came first. I thought that was a pretty good line. I'm paraphrasing, but when doubt, horrible upbringings, maybe not horrible, but maybe half-ass parenting, maybe the nagging that kids get at school. I have a friend of mine. She's a sweetheart, a doll. And she was the ugly duckling in high school. And then she discovered fitness and would run 13 miles a day and eat like a freaking mad person and just turned into this swan, right?
Okay.
And she's still a swan now. And we talked about the how she came up and the stuff that she dealt with, and then there was family stuff and this and that. And I said, it's unfortunate that you went that route, that you had to go through that. But look at how you handle things right now. Look how you look. Look how you operate. You have this angst. You have this ferociousness to do things because maybe something in your head says, oh, they don't think I can do it. All right, motherfucker, I'm going to do it. I go, you would not have had that without that. You got to use that as the fuel. You got to know that maybe that was destiny for you. Lou Ferrigno's dad used to always say in front of Lou, man, if you weren't deaf, only if you weren't deaf, man, only if you weren't deaf. And totally losing focus on the fact that the reason why Lou Ferrigno became what he became was because he wanted to break out of that deficiency. He may have not been one of the greatest at what he did, without that. And I think people lose focus on what seeds motivation, what seeds what you eventually become. And unfortunately, a lot of it comes from something negative. Some go the other way, though. Some go the drug route. Some go the feel sorry for me route. But in their case, that negative fuel turned into positive fuel later in their life, and they should somewhat embrace it. At least I didn't live that life, but it's the only way to make it make sense, right? Let's see. Let's go back to the sports thing here, man. We're getting all deep with our shit here tonight. Rob has missed a lot of open layups, but he can't miss again, right?
It depends.
So missing a layup. I'm seriously, I don't care. I really don't care. Once the news came out 3 weeks ago, I have not cared at all. I was, let's say if the news didn't come out, I would be a little concerned, but not really, because my brain is still in the mode of LeBron has to finish out this contract so the Lakers can truly build. But what has opened my eyes and my mind is, man, we don't have to deal with not having the resources anymore, and that's a really good thing. Even if Jeannie is still in that spot, she's going to have the resources to do what she needs to do to make this thing work. And at the very least, you can't ever deny that Jeannie doesn't want the best thing for the Lakers. Whether she could execute it or not was not the point now. Now she can. Now she'll have the resources. But she does care. She wants this team to win. And there's no doubt. I don't think you can't be inconsiderate to the point where you don't think she does want this team to succeed. Let's see. Where else are we here? Boy, these guys are bringing up some old stuff. You will not make this putt, you jackass. We were just talking about that. UV Levy and vacation was. So Uncle Buck, before we get back to sports here, I got to get back to the Dodgers. Talked a little bit about that. I saw Uncle Buck later than a lot of his movies. So I don't know if I have, because I watched those first, they might take the lead. But do you think Uncle Buck's number one if you had to pick for him? For me, it was The Great Outdoors.
It wouldn't be.
See, that's my movie with him.
Okay.
Now, and then Armed and Dangerous, and then Spaceballs.
Yeah, most candy fans have Spaceballs number one.
Okay.
Including myself.
The reason why Uncle Buck usually takes the lead is because he was undoubtedly the lead in that film. Like that was his movie. But for me, my first movie with him from my memory was Splash, the pervert brother. Because I love Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks and John Candy and Dan Aykroyd were like just Dragnet. Did you ever watch Dragnet?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my God, man! When they go to the old lady's house.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I've rewound that scene so much when I got older because I didn't understand it as much when I was a kid. But that lady would like, it's about time you pencil dicks. And there's a bunch of one-liners that she uses in that scene that are just absolutely off the wall. You can't argue against Uncle Buck, though. I mean, if somebody says that's his best movie, that it is. You're probably right. But he made a lot, man, and he's really missed.
He was Joe. I can't believe you haven't brought up Ox. He literally played a guy named Ox. Man, come on.
Stripes was like the beginning of that crew being box office. I didn't see Stripes at the beginning. I saw Stripes later. Harry Crumb. Who's Harry Crumb? That was one of my favorites too. Oh my God, I died laughing. Flaherty was in that one too. Cindy Crawford interviewing the bad boys of SNL in 1994. Ooh, I don't remember seeing that. That was my girl too, by the way. The 90s girl was Cindy Crawford for me. Shatner could barely slide across the hood of the cop car. I gotta see that. I didn't even pay attention to that either. Sopranos has come out in 4K. I'll be picking up that. What? What? What are you talking about? Is that true? Holy shit.
Did we lose you, Joe?
No, I'm just looking.
You're in shock.
Oh, I got to look for that one. You know, I found a Blood In, Blood Out 4K version that I downloaded. Looks pretty good, by the way. Ditka. Man, Aaron, your memory is amazing, man. The sports fans. Walsh won 5 Super Bowls. No, he won 3, Johnny. He won in 81, 84, and 88. Retired after Super Bowl 23. And then George Seifert took over in 1989, won in 1989, and then won Super Bowl 29. Steve Young MVP. Indeed. Yeah, the Niners were definitely the team of the 80s. They should have won probably 6. They should have won 6 Super Bowls in that decade. I think we got everything. Pizza the Hut. Oh, if it's not Lone Star and his sidekick Puke. Barf. Puke. Barf. Whatever. Give me some chon chon. So that character that played Popeye in Blood In and Blood Out, he said he was in Africa. This is how popular Popeye was from that movie. Yeah, it was Dom DeLuise. Yeah, Gerald, that's a good one. A lot of people didn't know that. I didn't know. I didn't know till like 20 years ago. And then I started hearing the voice. I was like, oh, it is Dom DeLuise. Yes.
Whenever I think of Dom DeLuise, I always think of the cat he played.
There was a movie that Gene Wilder did with Gilda Radner. What the hell was it? I have it downloaded, damn it. Hold on. The Radner movie.
What do they call that? Oh yeah, an American Tale. Dom DeLuise. That's what I remember him from.
Hold on, I know what it is. Haunted Honeymoon.
Yes, that's
so
great.
Dom DeLuise was dressed like that old lady.
Yes, Haunted Honeymoon.
That movie.
Fantastic.
That movie was a regular in my house. We would watch that over and over again. See No Evil, Hear No Evil. Before Happy Gilmore was the movie that had me dying for
laughing. Yeah, I don't give a shit what you say,
Gerald.
Gerald, I know you're in the comments, Gerald. Hear No Evil, See No Evil is one of the greatest comedies ever.
Oh my God! That when he first meets him in
the Crip Ups.
So you got something to say? Oh. Dom DeLuise, I think of that Fairly SNL skit when he's pissing himself while laughing with Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise. I got to see that one. I haven't seen that one. I like Silver Streak more than Wilder and Pryor. There's so many of them. What is it? What is that movie in the prison? Stir Crazy?
Stir Crazy, yeah.
When he gets back from solitaire, and he's like, oh. and Richard Pryor's crying, and the big King Kong Bundy looking guy is in there, and he's just squeezing him on the bed.
Oh, Joe, that's since you brought it up, that's another great John Candy film that he's in, Brewster's Millions with Richard
Oh, that's
Pryor.
another good one, man. Oh, Richard. So Richard Pryor, I had some talks about guys with some guys that were a little younger than me about Richard Pryor, and they loved Richard Pryor because they're black guys, and they of course Richard Pryor is like kind of like the George Washington of comedy.
Okay, so and like people have to remember something about this too. Okay, this is how cool John was. It's the mid 80s. Cocaine is everywhere in Los Angeles. But he doesn't touch it, Joe. Doesn't touch it. But Richard Pryor's addicted to it, Joe. And he's freebasing it at this point. And John Candy still works with him, man.
And they made a classic. And when you watch that movie as an adult, you see so much of why both were so great. Just the way that their scenes were, there was this genuine love for each other.
Oh, and Hume Cronin was just such a huge asshole in that film. It was brilliant. He was brilliant.
Why can't I tell my friends? Because I don't want them to help you out. No one helped me in that closet with them cigars. I never had any friends. God, that movie again. We really were lucky growing up with those movies. I feel so sorry. I feel so bad. And this isn't an old man get off my lawn thing. Movies right now are so bad. None of these kids, no young adults are really seeing anything worth a damn right now, man. It's so sad. When they just let these guys do their thing instead of having check boxes and all their shit, and then every time you put something good on TV for about a year or two, then all of a sudden you start putting in some stupid bullshit like this. The End of Us or whatever it was. This thing was supposed to be dynamite. The Walking Dead, man. The difference between the first 6-7 seasons and then the last 5. Oh my god! It's like, dude, you guys, that Negan introduction, without hyperbole, was the greatest introduction to a character in a TV show I've ever seen. That whole episode was so unbelievable. You felt the arrival of Negan. It was like they built it up so perfectly. And the way they ended that episode and then it continued on the next episode the following year, just absolutely some of the most brilliant TV I've ever seen. And I've watched Sopranos, I've watched Breaking Bad, I've watched Entourage. I've seen a lot of really good TV shows. And in those 2 episodes, you could argue are the 2 best episodes in TV history. And then they went completely south after that. Just stupid filling in the box bullshit. It's like, dude, this is the apocalypse, man. Stop paying attention to shit that no one would pay attention to. You guys did it the first 7 seasons. Why are you veering off this? You could have made this a 10-year run of some good shit. Instead, turned it into some stupid ass political thing, right? So it is what it is. What are you going to do? Happy Gilmore 2. So Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out on the 25th, Sean. My friend Tony, I think I told you this story when I went to San Diego State for orientation. It was her mom and I. She's still one of my best friends. Her and I stayed at the hotel that coincidentally I ended up working at, right? A year and a half later. And what was supposed to be a movie to put us to bed, Mom was going to bed. She's like, you guys want to watch a movie? We're like, yeah, sure. All right, guys, good night. I'll see you in the morning. Go ahead and watch the movie. Mom didn't sleep for an hour and a half.
You guys were laughing your ass off watching Happy Gilmore.
When Chubbs pulled out that hand, I could not stop laughing. My friend Tony couldn't stop laughing. And if I did stop laughing, she started laughing. And I started laughing because she was laughing. And we took turns. It was nonstop. Gold jacket, green jacket, who gives a shit? Like everything was just hitting, laughing. laughing. I kept putting my face in the pillow. I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what. I can't stop laughing. And it wasn't like we weren't drinking. The day was normal. Like we went to orientation. The campus was nice. We had a lunch. We ate. Like it wasn't like, oh, we were tired and delirious, or it was just we're sitting there. We're like, hey man, let's just watch it. Like I always watch the movie and went to bed. Like, yeah, sure, I do too. Okay, yeah, no, we were in hysterics. And and look at it, man. That was 29 years ago. And then when I found out Happy Gilmore 2 was coming out, I was like, really? I don't know if you should do that. And then I saw the trailer. I was like, holy shit, this might work. And I called her up. I said, Tony, Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out. And I just had this thought. I said, I have to watch it with you and your mom. I go, it just came in my head. I go, I cannot watch this without you guys. And she started busting up laughing on the phone. I said, tell your mom it's coming out on Netflix on the 25th. It's a Friday. I'll drive Thursday night back home. And then, of course, she like took it to another level. She's like, I'll set up the outside screen. You know how they have those bubble screens? I was like, oh, fuck yeah. We'll get all the snacks and we'll sit down and watch the movie. I go, but your mom has to be there. So we have a date set up for the 25th of July to go.
How old would her mother be at this point, Joe?
Her mother is, I think, we were 18 at the time, and she was 40. I think she was 40. So she's 69.
Yeah, hey, okay.
Yeah. Oh, her mom's great. Her mom's doing fine. I mean, her mom's like kind of she was the typical school lady that was nice and kind of kick, like no highs, no lows, just a normal, very nice person, And yeah, it's her daughter. Her daughter is not like that though. Her daughter took a little bit more of her dad's side, kind of little screw loose, but it kind of gives her the charm, right? But yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very excited for the 25th of July. So we're set to make that happen. Let's see here. I love it when film and television series crews made every single costume. Yeah, the CG thing really kind of took shit out a little bit. Creativity and effort is lacking. They are overworking people to push shows and movies or rely on the computers. The people who are making movies right now don't know how to make movies. That's why that shit's happening. Disney is pushing their sketch artists to make all these movies, which is creating low quality content. It's worse than that. It's who they're slotting due to a list. They're not looking for the best people. They're putting together how do I say this, Sean, without going too political? Fuck it. It's my show. I can do whatever the fuck I want. They're slotting everyone by color, gender, and sexual orientation. They need to stop doing that.
So the Alphabet Mafia.
The Alphabet Mafia, which, by the way, the Pink Mafia has always been there. That's what they're actually called in Hollywood. Now it's the Alphabet. The Pink Mafia. I spoke to at that time, he was a consultant, and I just happened to get a free consultant thing with him just to kind of, I don't know, check it out, right? I wasn't going to go beyond that because I didn't need consulting. I was just looking to find representation at the time. But he was old Hollywood. His dad was this big director back in the day. I forgot his name, but I guess he was kind of exiled because of the Pink Mafia. And they
who's his son, Joe?
I forgot his name. I'd have to find it. I'll find it. I have it in.
Is he on AMC?
No, it's no one that you probably would know.
Okay.
But back in the day, his dad was a big director back in the 40s. But I'll get the name because I remember I used to get emails from stuff that he was promoting. But I sat in his house, and it was one of those typical Hollywood Hills houses. It's on the hill, literal on the hill, and
You literally,
you look at
something out of a David Lynch film.
It really was. It really was. It was prototypical Hollywood house. The guy looked like a Hollywood producer. Like the whole thing was there. And he told me a little bit about what was going on in that industry. This was back in the early 2000s. So yeah, this stuff was always there. It just wasn't out like it is now. It was better when it was in because you didn't pay attention. You didn't pollute the talent, whether it was the producers, the directors, the actors. You didn't pollute those important things at the cost of the film. Now I'm watching Beetlejuice Part 2. And my kids don't know any better. My kid likes the second Beetlejuice, right? It's the first one she's seen. She didn't see the old one. I'm watching this thing about 30 minutes in, like in between, like the middle of the movie. It wasn't at the beginning. I was like, oh, I downloaded it, but I never watched it because I kept hearing bad things about it. But I was like, let me see what's going on here. Dude, Michael Keaton is in the movie for like 10 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is a movie about Beetlejuice, right? It was all about the girls. Gee, I wonder who decided to do that. So until this industry stops alphabeting everything and gendering everything, you're probably not going to get good movies anymore. Once in a great while. The last year that I remember where it was just unlimited, it seemed like, was 2008. 2008, and the last movie that I remember that I couldn't wait to be in the theater was The Dark Knight Rises in 2012. That's 13 years, Sean. And you know why I wanted to see that movie? For two reasons. Number one, I wanted to see the finality of the Nolan Batman series, but they had the Steeler players in the movie.
Yes, Joe. Yeah.
So Hines Ward. This was right after Super Bowl 45, and there's that scene where Hines Ward returns the kickoff, and everything collapses behind him.
Sinkhole, yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, man, I'm like, I was so excited for Hines Ward to be in like a major part in that movie. I'm like, what a way to end his tenure, like the last part of his years, right?
Mm-hmm.
He retired a year later.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, he's been to 3 Super Bowls. He's won a couple Super Bowls. He's been the Super Bowl MVP. Now he's in a Batman movie to end his career. Like, I just thought that was kind of cool how that all ended. I just wish they had won Super Bowl 45. Would have been a lot easier to.
He's the only foreign-born Super Bowl MVP, right, Joe?
Plunkett wasn't born in Mexico, right?
I don't think so. No.
Was he born in Korea?
He was Seoul.
I'd have to look that up. I don't know that one. That's a good question. Joe, what was it like when there was no phones and barely any social media? I'm 19, so I'm young and didn't get to live in the good times. Denver, that's a great question. We had pagers towards the end of my high school year. Before that, didn't have anything. And then phones got really, really popular right when I got to college. Here's why growing up in the 90s.
Oh, sorry. Only 2 foreign-born players have won Super Bowls in NFL history. One's Hines Ward, the other is Mark Rippon.
Where was he born?
Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Before social media, what were kids addicted to? Before social media, you saw more kids playing outside because that was the only thing you could do. You saw video games being played. I'm not saying we didn't play video games back then, but it was kind of balanced. We weren't on our phones, obviously, right? We didn't have phones, and our pages. We'd get the pager, and then we'd find a phone, and that was it. But we played a little bit of video games, but we also played outside a lot, and that was kind of what we did. I played so much basketball growing up, man. We played basketball. We would just hang out and just do nothing. Go to the Taco Bell late at night. Sit in the parking lot at Taco Bell, get a Slurpee, hang out. Again, it was playing sports during the day and then hanging out, having Slurpees and snacks at night. That's pretty much what we did. The phone didn't really come into like what it is now until the smartphone. I think the smartphone changed everything. Even the cell phones between, let's say, 1998 to 2008, it was just a phone. It didn't encompass our attention as much. The smartphone is what changed everything, because now you have the internet at your fingertips, right? And then you had the ability to really, really interact with anyone and everyone online all the time at any minute, and it became an addictive thing. So our addictions went from playing outside, playing video games, to being addicted to pictures of ourselves and social media, and knowing exactly what, like, being constantly into what's going on around the world. That's completely useless.
It's a new frontier. In 100 years from now, there'll be so much research done on how blue light has fucked us permanently. I mean, and we don't even know the long-term consequences of being addicted to blue light.
That's a good one, Ralph. Get Out was one of the most original movies you could see. I thought it was brilliant. I didn't see Us. I'd have to look at that. M. Night Shyamalan kind of created that new wave original type stuff until it kind of started getting a little lame the back half of his career. He started smelling his own doo-doo and thinking it was good when it wasn't. Joe, are you happy you met your wife at the time where social media and all the nonsense wasn't going on? It feels like it's harder to find good women nowadays. That's a great question, Legend. That's a hell of a question. It would not have affected me. It would not have affected me. If I didn't have a wife right now, I would have been able to find a wife like this. But that's because I'm one of my main talents is gauging people. I would have been able to find one.
I think the worst M. Night Shyamalan movie I ever saw in theaters was The Village show.
Village was
I remember people were just talking in the movie theater about 45 minutes into it.
The Village was what looked like a pet project that was greenlit, and everyone in that cast loved working on the movie. William Hurt and all that whole crew, all they talked about behind the scenes was how fun it was to do the job, because I guess they didn't have a lot of drama. I think that's probably why it was able to be made. But yeah, meeting someone. I've never struggled meeting people, especially females. I've known every female except for one when it came to the intimate part of that world. And I have friends that are women that my wife knows. I've been friends with them for 35 years. Not even one completely platonic. Never had not even a kiss. It's just kind of how it played out. So I have friends. So back again, Sean, when I tell you you're going to have to be around me for a couple weeks to really know how I roll, that's one of those parts because it's not my circles are not normal to a normal. When you hear someone talk about another woman and it's not their wife, people start to perk up like, "Wait, what? What are you doing hanging on with that girl?" I go, "I've been hanging on with her since I was 10, like 10 years before I met my wife." You know what I mean? I go, "I don't roll like you do. My wife doesn't tell me to come home. I don't have like that I don't have that kind of relationship. I didn't marry a barefoot pregnant woman. She's a career woman. If I croak tomorrow, it'd be devastating for the family, but she's capable of having her own life. And I would not have married anyone who was not like that. That was something that was very like set in my head. I may come off as a chauvinist and a alpha male type kind of whatever. No, 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 no. No, I could not have married a ditz. There's zero chance of that ever happening. I needed to marry someone intelligent and capable, and I was pretty good at finding that. Whew, man, we're really getting again. We keep going into these tangents of life, man. I'm trying not to do that, guys. I'm just answering questions. Otani pitching 102. Is he pushing himself too much? Oh God, what are you, Dave Roberts now? SB. He hasn't pitched in a year and a half. Let him enjoy himself. I like hearing random facts from Sean every stream. That's funny. Mark Rippon was Super Bowl MVP, wasn't he? Yeah, he was Super Bowl MVP 26. 38-24, I think, was the final score. That was the Super Bowl where in Living Color had the halftime show. Fameless. Talk to me about approximate return dates for our different starters, please. I heard Sasaki might be a little longer. Okay, Fameless, here's what's going on. I believe Snell is going to be back soon, and Glass now will be back probably after him, and Sasaki probably at the end of July. That's the word I'm hearing. Soon as far as Snell, I think he's going to be back in I think in 2 weeks. I think. And then Glass now probably after the All-Star break. And then Sasaki at the end of July. I think they're hanging on to Sasaki a little bit longer because they don't want to end up finding out that he's got to get they don't want to find out that he needs TJ surgery out of nowhere. I think they're going to save him a little bit. But for me, looking at the starting pitching, okay, you got Yamamoto, he's good. You got Destin May, which at this point he's a low leverage starter. He's just going to eat up innings. They need Yamamoto, Snell, at the very least, Shohei. They got Kershaw pitching really well, but I don't know how much they're going to use him for the playoffs. What I think they might do in the playoffs, they may use Otani and maybe Kershaw in the same game, depending on what's going on, because they'd have a lefty and a righty in that game. And if they decide that they want to switch up some things in that particular game, whatever game it is, they could end up doing a piggyback game in the playoffs. I don't know. It's so out of the realm of what we're used to. We're going to have to wait and see it. But for sure, Yamamoto, for sure, Snell. Glass now, I don't trust until he's there. So I'm not even counting him. Sasaki, he's kind of in that Glass now area. I don't know if they're going to save him. But then you have Dustin May. I don't think you put Dustin May in that rotation. I think they're going to need one of those guys. I think what they're hoping for, honestly, I think they're hoping for Yamamoto, Snell, Glass now, and then you use Kershaw, Shohei, Sheehan, Kasperius in spots. At least for right now. Kids were addicted to hot Cheetos. Man, hot Cheetos is one of the greatest foods ever made. Let's see. They don't have any reason to go outside. Everything's inside. Everything's on that damn phone. But yes, we loved playing outside still, late 90s to early 2000s. We still ran out and played sports and had fun. Yeah, that's why you have an obese problem in this country, too. We had our moments of Game Boy, but majority of the time we were outside. That is true. I miss those days. You can still have those days, guys. You just got to go do it. We have Dungeons and Dragons. We'll play outside. Yes. Still play Dungeons and Dragons. Social media has ruined a lot of relationships nowadays with women, with friends, with families, etc. But human evolution, everything is changing and getting weirder and weirder. So, I think it's more than just. It was the perfect poison. Social media and the evolution of information in general. We overcorrect too much. When something's wrong, we overcorrect. And when you overcorrect, you just switch the same problem to the other side of the spectrum. So the issues with women and men, from what I've seen, is there's an expectation that women, and I'm saying this because I've had friends of mine that have gotten divorced recently, and it came in a big wave. There was no divorces, and then all of a sudden, like in 2021, 2022, a lot of my friends started getting divorced, and all the divorces were initiated by the women. So I think what's happened is a lot of it is women started believing a lot of the manipulation, whether you want to blame the Me Too movement, whether you want to blame just women saying we're tired of being treated like whatever. And again, they overcorrected and said, we don't need men. And that created this rift in relationships that women start thinking, well, if men aren't going to be doing what I think they should be doing, then I'm going to go find somebody else. There was no, I guess, connection there. It was either all or nothing. And I'm not saying it's all on the women's fault. I'm just saying that's what I've seen in terms of the majority of what's been going on. And what social media has created, you've heard me talk about the filters and all these pictures that you see online. Everything is fake. Everything's fake. Almost everything is fake. Women put filters on their faces. Women are putting videos and pictures of themselves naked so that guys can jerk off to them. Like, everything is fake. Everything's not genuine. Everything is just to get dopamine. That's it. Just dopamine yourself to death. And that's really ultimately what it is. It has created the dopamine of all time for everyone. The dopamine of that person making money off the person who wants to get pleasure from it. They get the pleasure of earning a living, and then the person who's allowing them that make a living are getting in return their jollies off from it. And that's pretty much what we have right now in social media. And it's diluting real relationships. Coming from a counselor, kids aren't more terrible now either. I'm working with teenage groups for counseling. It's bigger. We have highest divorce rates right now, highest inflation. Yeah. Money being scarce, things costing more money, that doesn't help either. It's very hard for people to buy houses now. It's very hard to get married, buy a house, and have children. That plays a part in it too. And that's not anybody's fault, but the system kind of doing what it's doing right now. Due to this, my more single parents are tired by themselves, can't afford living, working, double kids aren't getting attention. Kids instead have to play video games or go on tablets to fulfill time since parents come home tired, bills expensive. See, that's exactly good points there, Ralph. That's exactly, it's not all the bad things. Sometimes it's just how life is turning into, and something needs to change, right? If a single mom comes home after a 12-hour workday, has to figure out dinner for kids, she is going to be burnt out to take them to sports. Dropping the knowledge there, bud. Appreciate it. Let's see. Good. We need some reinforcements. I want Kershaw. I agree with that one too. Trine was also slated for July. Trine, I'm not worried about. He'll be back. Robleski, my God, he pitched well today. He pitched well in the last So I haven't thrown that in because I don't want to jinx it. So Sheehan and Robo are, I mean, they're your phantom pitchers. So you could have Sheehan and Robo do a piggyback if you have to. The Dodgers are in a position right now that I wouldn't say if they're in this position in the next half, the next 80 games, exact position they're right now. Like they don't have anybody back except let's say Snell. Let's just say Snell is the only guy that comes back. I think they'll be in great shape. They'll have Yamamoto, they'll have Snell, they'll have two legit playoff known starters that are going to be there, and then they'll have Shohei, they'll have Kershaw, Sheehan, Robo, Kasperius. Like they'll have enough. They'll have plenty of guys that they could throw out there if they need to go to a 5-game series or a 7-game series. Since Magic is from Canada, is he a Blue Jays fan? No, I don't think so. I don't know if he has a big. I don't know if he has like a favorite team in Toronto. He loves the Montreal Canadiens. Excuse me. And obviously the LA Lakers. Let's see here. Social media has created these influencers and celebrities that don't deserve to be popular. They do this just for money, which makes me sick. Somebody puts the attention to these guys, and I don't know why. Agree, Joe. I've had some online female friends, especially ACF, weird out of nowhere. Social media can affect people so differently. Have to have the healthy relationship with it. I prefer to meet people face to face. Online is not something I would ever do. If I wasn't with anybody right now, I'd still be able to meet people face to face. I'm in a world where I can meet people face to face. I know where to go. I know how to make it work. I wouldn't need to go online. I don't trust online. How to feel like things are original again. Take a break from your phone. Everything you see online with colors lowers your stimulation to new experiences. It's a good point too. Why things don't feel nostalgic anymore. Probably because everything is rehashed or rebooted. There's not a lot of originality that's being created that brings a new. Ooh, I'm excited for this new story. I'm excited for this new franchise. None of that's going on. There's no investments in any development, and a lot of it too is the fact that there's so much criticism online for anything you do these days. You have to create something without having to use social media. If you do that, you probably have a better idea, a better chance at creating something new, but they don't know how to do that anymore. Let's see. Cold Stone Dryer is also an X Factor. Man, he looked good today, didn't he? Woo-wee. If Tanner Scott's ever struggling, man, I don't mind. I think that Rook has got it, baby. He's got it. Jack looked dynamite today. I am very happy that we have him. Just been hot and busy and about to get busier. Hope all the camp stuff is going well. Heard. Oh, good. You're talking the search. Sorry about that, bud. Denver Sports. Joe, how was the COVID lockdown for you? It happened out of nowhere. I wasn't affected by it, Denver. As a matter of fact, I benefited from it. I got a chance to hang out with the fam more at home, which is something I always love doing. My business is outside. I'm in the landscape construction business. So people who are at home got tired of looking at their ugly lawns. So I got more calls during that time. My business blew up. Also, I love the fact that the freeways were clear. I was in LA at 1 p.m. one day on the 101, and there was no traffic. That had never happened in my life. I have traveled through LA for 35 years, and I had never seen the 101 no matter what time it was. 1 a.m., 1 p.m., 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Never traveled the 101 ever in my life and not had traffic at some point. And it was like I Am Legend dead. And it was awesome. I got to the valley from Temecula in an hour and 35 minutes that day. That's how much traffic there is in LA. Because usually that's a 2.5 hour drive. I got there an hour earlier than normal. So I didn't hurt with the COVID lockdowns. I think the only issue I had with COVID in the end was the fact that were they going to strong arm us into taking the vaccine? I was not comfortable taking the vaccine because I felt my instincts felt like there was some kind of weird pushing of it. I'm like, why is this being pushed so much? I'm not sick. And by the way, people who've gotten the shot keep getting COVID. So I was like, wait a minute, I'm not getting this shot if it's not stopping COVID. Why would I get the shot if it's not working? So I was in a state of confusion. And I quickly realized after a while, I'm like, why I'm getting this feeling that you guys are all forcing people to do it. I go, I don't like that. That's a manipulation. I go, no, I ain't doing it. Never did. Never will. Let's see. Why do you think 80% of suicides are men, Joe? Pressure. The pressure is always on us. The pressure is always on us. And then the last 5 years, men were marginalized by what I call the overcorrection by the women's feminist movement. So men were already putting in, you don't see too many women that do the hard labor jobs, right? Anytime you hear women talk about equality, it's always the high position jobs. Why aren't we having more shots at CEOs? Why aren't we more general managers? Why are we not getting paid like men? Well, I rarely see plumbers that are women. I rarely see electricians that are women. And these are all jobs right now, especially those jobs that are in need. You don't see women welding. You don't see women in construction building homes, physically building homes. So you went from these people, these women, these people, and the agenda around that denigrated men for being, and they blamed every man. It's like that's what they made it look like, that they were all secondary people, that they were all trying to keep women down. And you battle that together with the fact that we're responsible, we're doing those hard jobs, right? We have the families, we're trying to make the mortgage, and it just killed people. And then those who weren't even married, then had it even worse because they couldn't meet anybody, because apparently men weren't needed, right, by that movement. That's a little bit of a tidbit from my recognition of that. There's a lot more to it. This isn't something that really started 5 years ago. It just kind of came to a head 5 years ago. This is something that had been in the works for a while. I'll tell you what it was. Since we were talking about movies, have you noticed that male characters in movies the last like 15 years, they just seem like the men in those movies are always the dolts, where they have, let's say, the bratty teenager that's always talking down to their dad. I mean, they'll talk down to the mom too, but the dad always is like this kind of like guy that's always in the way. Well, you built up you've programmed this in all of these media avenues, right? Of how men are like the dummies. The dads are the dummies. They're not the guys to respect. And then this is the culmination of that. It builds it up so much. I can't tell you how many times I've been told, because I have 2 girls. I can't tell you how many times I heard, "Oh, Joe, your girls are about to be turning into teenagers, or at least your oldest one is. Good luck." My kid just turned 15, so she's been a teenager for 2 years. My kids have never disrespected me. They've never even talked back to me. You know why they never talk back to me? Because they have respect, because they learned what it is. And I'm not always mean and this bully. I love my family. I love my kids. I'm always joking around. But they know the difference. And that's something that needs to change too. Kids need to respect their parents, and parents who have children need to demand it. I'm around a lot of parents as I've grown into this, being around the schools and all that. Most of the people that I see parenting have no fucking idea what the hell they're doing. They don't know how to talk to their kids. They don't know what discipline is. That the kid will do something and they'll let it go. I'm like, no, you got to start that foundation early. My kids knew very, very early that respect is extremely important here. When I call your name, you don't say what. Things like that. And that starts early. And they learned it early. And that's what happens when they turn 15 and 12. Guess what? They don't disrespect. They know who their dad is. They know who their mom is. And that's all it's supposed to be. Let's see. One interesting tidbit is that Luka and Ayton have the same age. I would be shocked if Ayton isn't a Laker. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore beyond that because I don't want to jinx it. But I have a pretty good feeling in a few days. I think we're gonna find out DeAndre Ayton will be a Laker. I will take anabolic steroids before I take the vaccine. I do a line of coke before I take vaccines in this country anymore. In Idaho, we call them purebloods. Equals never got the shot. Yeah, and again, it wasn't this defiant us versus you thing. If COVID, I know that there's people that take the flu shot and still get the flu, but this was ridiculous. Everyone that had COVID, everyone that took the COVID shot got COVID. I'm like, okay, if there was 1 out of the 10, I'd be like, all right, well, that's one of those guys that doesn't, because that, I'm not anti-vax. My kids are vaccinated for the measles, for whooping cough, all that shit, right? And of course, guess what? They didn't get the whooping cough. They didn't get measles. So why are we getting COVID if we have the COVID shot? Oh, well, Joe, it takes the boosters and it takes this and it takes that. I'm like, all right, hold your horses. Can I wait then so that maybe something better comes out? No, there's going to be a variant and this and that. I mean, well, isn't that how the flu works? Isn't that how viruses work? It's always going to be something. I'm not a doctor. I don't try to act like one, but guys, I have one of the best immune systems you can have. I don't want to jack that up. My kids have the same immune system. I'm not jacking that up. My wife doesn't get sick either. I'm not poisoning my family so that you can feel better about yourself. Fuck you and your vaccine. And I did say that after about 1.5 years. Finally, I got tired of my friends yapping about it. The ones that are all lefty all over the place everywhere. I said, no, fuck you. I'm not taking this. I will never take it. Testosterone up, COVID down. All right. Let's see. Pure bloods everywhere. Very, very, very proud of everyone. I screwed Gates and Fauci and their poison. Well, they did things different in Australia. They were more authoritative in Australia. In America, you can tell somebody to go fuck themselves. They can't make you do shit here. Really. Like if you really are defiant, they can't make you do shit. That's one of the great things about this country. No matter what's going on, you just got to stay strong. It doesn't hurt to give a brother a compliment on the street. Nice shoes, bro. It doesn't hurt or cost anything. Yeah. Being good to people, complimenting them. Man, you have no idea what that could do to people, man. Unfortunately, Gates buying too much land in Australia. Well, he's buying land in here, dude. He's got more farmland here than anybody. But everybody's on their act. Everybody's on his act. He can't. The cat's out of the bag with him. People are watching him. The most gangbanger neck tattoo guy came up to me at the gym last week and gave me a compliment on my physique. Last guy you would think would do that. Don't judge by the cover. Let's see. Divorce impacts kids a lot more than you think. That's the problem. It's the kids that get hurt the most in divorce. They send their kids to therapy when in reality their parents need to go to therapy, and when in reality their parents made bad decisions that cost the kids their sanity. That's talk about an epidemic. Be honest and never lie, and your children respect you. Yeah, that's as simple as it gets. Don't be a scumbag. My mom, I'm not your friend, I'm your parent. Yeah, that's another thing that was said very early on. I am not your friend. I will never be your friend. I am your protector. I am on this planet while you're alive to protect you, especially when you're a baby. When you get older and you find a husband, and I approve, and I feel that husband can protect you, then my job is done. for what it was before. I'm still going to protect my kids, but now your husband is there as the primary. There's some things that you can't get away from the fundamentals. My sister, same, was the same with my sister. She had to find a good man that I knew could protect her, and she did. I'm here to protect my girls. God rest her soul, my mother. I was there to protect my mother, protect my sister, protect my wife. A man's job is to protect his women, his aunt, his girl cousins. That's what we're here for. You don't do that, you're useless. Protect your women. You protect your women, and you won't have these movements, and you won't have all this bullshit going on. All these abusers are going to think twice when you protect your women. They're not going to come around here. And there's documentation and there's videos on it. These guys that molest kids, one of the first things they look for is a strong father. Is there a strong father around? If there's a strong father around, they don't test that area. So if you're a father, protect your girls, protect your children. Very important. That's what heals society. Yeah, Aiton would be a good fit for the price tag for sure. Joe would rather be like Scarface in the third. Only in the movie, man. Only in the movie. I don't want to jinx it either. I'm sure Legend wants him in that. Legend sort of said, yeah, but I don't think it'll work. If the one time he gets lazy over there, Draymond's going to get all up in his business. I wouldn't want to go there if I was him. What was it like in LA when Kobe and Shaq were on the three-peat run? Did you go to any of the parades? I wasn't old enough. Yes, I went to the first one. I'm sorry. I went to the 01, the second title, and the third title. It's hard to describe how great it was without being there. You're talking about 3 seasons. You're talking about over 1,000 days where your team was number one. A three-peat. How do you imagine a three-peat? I had imagined a three-peat before because I saw Michael Jordan do it twice, but he was Michael Jordan. It made sense. Michael was that guy, right? But but seeing my own team with the modern day Wilt and a Jordan version on the same team, three-peating, woo! And that team was so awesome to root for. Oh my God, they were almost every guy on that team, other than maybe Samaki Walker, I loved to death. I loved Ron Harper, loved Horace Grant, Fox, Fish, Ori, Shaq, Kobe. Hell, we even loved Mark Madsen. Such a fun team to root for. Such an awesome team to root for. And they won. And some of the most epic games you'll ever see in your life. 7-game series against Sacramento. 7-game series against the Portland Trail Blazers. Game-winning shots by Robert Horry in the Sacramento series and the Portland series. And Kobe hitting a game-winning shot in Phoenix. Kobe taken over in overtime in Game 4 in 2000. Shaq dropping 40 and 20. I mean, you saw every single thing imaginable in 3 seasons. And they all ended up with a title at the end. That was just something that you can never forget. If the Lakers never won after that, we would have had enough. I mean, how lucky were we to see 3 more after that? And one of those was a back-to-back as well. So to put it as cleanly as I can in just a few minutes, it was a beautiful time. Listening to Chick Hearn, the last 3 years of Chick Hearn's life. Listening to Chick Hearn after watching him on Fletch and just hearing about him when I was growing up before I moved to San Diego. It was a beautiful time, man. As perfect as you could have. Our own Showtime at that time. And then Chick Hearn's last game that he called was the Game 4 three-peat game in New Jersey. So beautiful time, man. Beautiful time. I can tell you more stories as time goes on, but Went to the parade and for the back-to-back and the three-peat. Probably the only negative thing I had to say about the whole run was the parades are not usually the cleanest people around. LA has some undesirables. There was stupid people throwing bottles in the air. Matter of fact, Lawrence Tanter had to get on the mic and start yelling at people to stop throwing bottles in the air. There were kids, people around, and these idiots who were drunk were just belligerent, smoking weed and all that, and just making the whole area just stupid. It was like the parking lot at the Dodger Stadium at the wrong time. Other than that, everything else is great. Let's see here. They can shove that booster up there. I should have paid for the fake COVID. Well, that was my plan anyways, Hon. I was going to do that. I said, I ain't taking the shot. I'll find a way to get the fake certificate. Let's see. If we lose DFS, I hope we can trade for someone. Yeah, that's the problem, man, is I'm hoping they can somehow find a way to keep DFS and be one less new guy you got to go find, because you can sign DFS for you got his bird rights. So I'm crossing my fingers. I'm 50-50 on that right now. I'm not going to be devastated if he leaves, but I'm kind of hoping that they find a way to keep him, because he does have a lot of value. It's will die one day, just like the rest of us, no matter how much he tries to be God. Yeah, that's a good point too there. I don't think anybody else is going to do what he does. So many people paid for they also have the fake shot. That's good stuff. Joe just went Terminator mode, right? Mike Tyson said it was stone cold at Prescott. You got to be nice to people. Yeah. You got to be nice to the people who deserve it. And then be mean to those who deserve to be mean. And that's important. You got to be able to understand the difference between the two. When he protects Sarah Connor's son. Yes, please. For those of you who are new here, please like, subscribe, and click on the notification button. We're going to have more. We're going to have a lot more shows as football season starts to come about. Of course, with NBA free agency, we're probably going to have a lot more shows during that time as well. We had a family friend die in March 2020 of COVID. He caught it at the hospital. The kids couldn't even say goodbye in person, watch the funeral on Zoom. Yeah, that's the stuff that ended up kind of catching up to all the BS. I'm not saying that for some people, COVID wasn't a real thing. I have one of my really good friends who needed to take the shot because he was getting COVID real bad, where he had to go to the hospital. He was unavailable for like 3 weeks. For some people, it was legit, but not everyone was susceptible in the same way. And we're all different, man. Let this thing go to the people who needed it. Stop trying to push it on everyone. That was my thing. I'm like, you're all pushing it on people who don't need this. He needs it. And I know him and I believe him. Fine. But I don't need this. I don't need it. And I'm not around coughing on things. And I don't touch things. So lay the hell off. I don't need it. I'm not getting enough information that says this is good for me. That's it. End of discussion. Yeah, we do. Just got to let it slide after a while, man. After a while, you just got to put your foot down and tell people no, and then let it go. Some people took it to heart too much. No, LA Live didn't exist during the three-peat. At the time when I heard that they were building the Ritz-Carlton and LA Live, I thought, man, this place is going to look good. It kind of took away from the essence of it. I preferred the old way. I prefer the parking lot, Aaron. I really do. This has been such a good show. Leave a like, guys. Yeah, thanks, Carter. Appreciate it. But Glenn Rice was my guy from... Hey, man. Glenn Rice, G-Money, perfect player for that season. Doesn't get enough credit. That team should have won 69 games, but they won 67. But Phil said, nah, we're going to kick it the next couple games and get ready for the playoffs. I wish they had let them win 69. That would have been kind of cool to tie the all-time Laker record. What is the most amazing single season by a sports team in any sports? I'm curious, Joe. Your thoughts? Ooh. I'd say probably the Bulls in '96 because that was from beginning to end. Yeah, the Patriots would have been number one had they won Super Bowl 41. I'm sorry, Super Bowl 42. Yeah, if they had won Super Bowl 42 and went 19-0, that would have been number one. But as of right now, it's the Bulls in '96. They were dominant from beginning to end. His final broadcast was a title win. Yeah, man. Beautiful thing, man. Love chick. Thanks, Serge. Appreciate all the compliments, brother. Glad to have you back. White Sox and those Astros this week for our boys in blue. So, Aaron, I want the Astros in the World Series, and right now they have a pretty good lead in the Central. So I know Detroit's the team to beat over there, but I'm crossing my fingers that the Astros make it to the World Series to face the Dodgers. I want that win so bad. It's even bigger than the Yankee one right now. Can't wait for college football. Yeah, college football. We'll be talking a lot of college football here. So again, guys, we've been doing this. It's been kind of the dead season right now, the last month or so. But once football starts, once the NBA free agency starts, we're going to have a lot more shows. So stay tuned, like and subscribe, and make sure you click on that notification button. Joe could easily make a podcast just talking about life for hours and hours, and I'd listen. Yeah, thanks, Carter. Again, I try not to be, I try not to veer off the sports thing a lot. But look, I'm here to entertain the people that are here. If you guys have questions that pertain to other things, I'm going to answer them. I don't give a shit what whatever's going on. This is your guys' show. I'm here to cater to you. Thank you all. Help Joe build the channel, get the news out. Yes, please get the news out. I'm trying to build this up so that we can do some live shows too in certain cities. That's the ultimate goal. Could listen to Phil talk for hours. See, that's the thing I miss about Phil Jackson, man. He used to have this show with Billy Mack. It was called Philosophy. It was right before the game would start, and it was some of the best 5 to 10 minute discussions him and Billy Mack would have. And that's when I really loved Billy Mack, because he would sit with Phil, and Phil would make some funny jokes, and Billy Mack would set up the questions so that he could say some funny stuff. It was such a great, like 5-10 minutes of just pregame info. Some of the best, and it doesn't get talked about enough. I think there's a lot of footage of it on YouTube. I have to look at and send the links. Let's see here. Detroit surging. We'll see. Either way, we'll get back. Either Altuve or Hitch both got paid. I want the Houston organization. Hitch, obviously, in Detroit would suffice as a secondary, but I want the Houston organization. I want the Dodgers sweeping those fuckers in Houston in the World Series. Thanks, Serge. Again, I appreciate it. And I wanted to thank everyone for being here. This is the fastest 2 hours and 15 minutes I think I can remember. We're gonna be back probably midweek. Once free agency starts, LFB will have its place as well. I'll probably maybe try to piggyback off that so we can have more of these discussions. Again, thanks, Serge, for moderating. Aaron, Ralph, all the new guys, Carter, everyone, anyone that I miss, I'm sorry. But again, I want you guys to continue to keep asking these cool questions. I really enjoyed even the stuff that wasn't sports related. I think it's kind of cool to just kind of shoot the shit a little bit, talk about the 90s, talk about some movies. You know, again, that's how we live, man. That's the good stuff to me. Have a great morning. Have a great afternoon. Have a great evening. If you guys have any questions outside the show, please hit me up on my X. You guys can see it on my notification. If you guys want to hit me up directly on Instagram, you guys know where to find me there as well. If you want to find me on Facebook, I'm Johnny Blade on Facebook. And again, ask me any questions, or if you have anything that you want me to say on the show on the next one, please don't hesitate to ask. So with that, until next time, I will see you next time.